the Crazy Agent Dinner Party.
Nobody helps you. Just
Part group therapy, part inspiration, entirely for real estate agents to dish on this crazy business we're in.
Yeah, actually. my mom would be like, Amanda, I cannot.
Come on in, have a seat at our table. And remember, real estate is crazy, and you don't have to be. Here are your hostesses with the mostesses, a combined 40 plus years in real estate, Coach Konversion Kourtney, and the real estate mom you never knew you needed, Amanda, the marketing mama. On today's special menu, we're dishing up the story behind the Crazy Agent Dinner Party, how it all started.
How it all began. Well, thank you, Jenny, who's been with me for 5 years, our beautiful sidekick. Yes, you guys, this week, right? It's probably been crazy. It's been a crazy life, I would say. Hence why we're gathering every week to do some group therapy, hopefully give you some inspiration, and hopefully help you sell more real estate. But we all realize it isn't all fun, actually. And we came to realize that through our friendship. We met through our brokerage. And it was so funny because I did not realize that Kourtney was a giant, and she did not realize that I was a leprechaun. And so
I was thinking midget.
Okay. My sister called me her midget of honor at her wedding because I was her maid of honor. I'm like, thank you. Now, everybody always says that. They're like, I didn't realize you were so short. I'm like, I am. But it was so great because we'd both been in the business for a really long time, and we really hit it off online, and then we met in person at the first conference that first year in 2022. And because you had a multi-state team and I was expanding my team to Texas as well, we just had so much more to talk about. And so around dinner time, at least once a week, sometimes two, or it got to a lot more than that, we would talk about the crazy things that it meant to be a team leader and a mom and just alive in the business. And then we're like, wow, this is getting really good. We should take this show on the road and visit, our cast of characters and all of our various teams and lives we've lived here within the real estate industry. So for starters, I want to take it back to August of 2023 if you want to get real deep, because I really do think that we need to get a little deeper.
Well, and I agree, right? Because a lot of our shows, we offer tools and suggestions and our experiences on how to become better agents. And what we learned back in August of 2023. Wow, that's crazy, huh?
Right.
Is that...
And we had been, again, talking and connecting on just real life real estate up until that point. But it was so crazy because you were almost afraid to, say it. You're almost afraid to even talk about it. And the hesitation and the kind of the defeated mentality that you had with your news was really heartwarming. And I felt like, wow, I would never have expected that, ironically. And what was your news? What did you share?
3 years ago, even before that, right? With being in real estate for so long, I realized that I either needed to, the way that the industry was changing at the time, I needed to start my own team or I needed to join a team. And it was like, I'm not going to join a team because I already have the tools and the knowledge and so I'm like, let's just start a team. Mm-hmm. And so I started a team and I really went all in on my team. Poured everything into it. I mean, we would have morning huddles at 4:30 a.m. because it was nationwide. What? It was I'm out. It was all in. Money invested.
There's no way.
Right. That's so early.
It was, and it was 3 years of really
blood, sweat, and tears,
pouring my entire soul into it. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I would really only work referrals, so I let my own business go because I was pouring into the team so much.
You were the leader, you were the mentor, you were the go-to, and you held all these hats,
right?
Yeah.
And so for me, and I felt like it was a conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. And so if I am providing leads for my team, my coaching, my mentoring, all of it for 50 plus agents in New York, Massachusetts, Florida, and Colorado, and it was almost it was a pride thing, right? Like I could say that I ran a nationwide team, and I still even say it, right?
Well,
Because
you did.
I did.
You did
Yeah.
run a nationwide
I
team
did.
for a long time.
Was I profitable? No. I lost a lot of money,
Well,
a lot of time,
measuring
and a lot of effort, energy, time with my family. Like that's
Yes.
huge, right?
Yeah.
And so August of 2023, I made a decision, and that was to dissolve the team.
Yeah.
And
And I could tell like you were just so, I don't want to say ashamed, but like you were bummed and you felt like a failure. And I know we always talk about pivoting, and I know we say we don't ever fail, we learn. But yeah, man, like it does. It feels
when
like
it's time, money, time
You're
spent
like,
away
oh,
from my family.
woulda,
right?
coulda, shoulda, right?
Like, and so for me at the time, it was like, it was a pride thing. And so I met with a couple of people and an agent who was he had a successful team, and an agent who had a team who recently dissolved it. And I met with those two people, and with the help of meeting with them, I realized like at that time the team wasn't for me, and I needed to go back on my own. And and that was such a 3 months of being stuck. Right? What do I do next? I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I even jumped on Indeed and even applied for like a waste management, like truck driver service.
Ooh, I did not realize you went off the deep end that bad. I can
lost,
relate.
right? Like
yeah.
I was lost. And because I poured my entire heart and soul
For a
and
long time.
everything into it.
Yeah.
And I was done.
Yeah.
And this is all I know. I only know real estate. This is all I know.
That's all you've been doing as a grown up. That's me too.
That's it.
Like
As
I
a
don't know what else to
grown-up, right?
do.
Like that's
Well,
it.
I was at that point, August of 2023. So ironically, that day where you just again were very timid about it, I had always been the literal and figurative marriage between lender and realtor. And I don't know, I hadn't talked to anybody about it. I hadn't told anybody anything, but I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm separated. Nobody knows about this. But just like, and I sent her, I was eating a taco. You guys ever eat hard tacos? Every time I eat a hard taco, without fail, I love them so much. But they crumble, but they're still delicious. And I'll share the photo. It's right here. I send it to you, and I'm like, just like this taco that I'm eating, we all fall apart. But you just got to grab your fork and dig in, because you're still amazing. And we're still amazing, even if we've decided that the team is not beneficial, or we maybe even against our will are separated. You know, these things I never would have in a million years guessed that would have been my life, but it was for a long time.
And really like carrying the weight of the world.
Well, just not being able to talk about how difficult it is so difficult in and of itself. Because
Sure.
when you do talk about it to anyone, now everybody is like, you know, abandoning you. Like, I know, and this is another very difficult thing. Your father recently passed away, and again, you were in the flux of your typical business, which is she always has multiple closings going on in a month. And when you share that with people, they don't care. I know that sounds terrible to say, but they don't. They don't.
Yeah, we talked about it with Steve, and it was on the surface. Like I felt really connected with him when we talked about it.
Steve Ramona. Oh,
Yeah, and it was on the surface though. It was like what God forbid, like you're in a transaction and somebody passes away.
Which you had that
And
happen too before your dad. God, it's been a tough freaking year, dude. And yet, look at you, like killing it still. It's hard. It's really hard. It's crazy.
And that's why we do what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is because our lives, like wherever, I always say, wherever we go, we go.
I know. This is her Dr. Seussism, right, Jenny? We love, when we watch that recording back, we're like, that's so Courtney. Wherever we go, we go.
I love that.
Well, but I know what you mean. It's like, that's the energy that you're bringing.
Yeah, and so Steve said, guess what, guys? Like on our show, he said, if somebody passes, God forbid, somebody passes away during a transaction, the other people who are involved in the transaction, they're not going to care. And I agreed with that at the time, right? And I experienced it firsthand. Like, yes, they care. It's not about me, though. It's about them. And so being a real estate agent, it's all of us, not even part of us, right? Like all of us, whatever we have going on in our lives, it's almost like constantly on the back burner because we put our clients first.
Well, you have to, because if you don't, then you don't. make money. And so like in a real job, which guess what? I've never had a real job. So,
From what you hear on with a real job.
I mean, I believe real estate is a real job, but I'm saying I've been commission only my entire adult life. I have done nothing except for real estate, and this is how I've made my living forever, and I love it. I've never had bereavement. I've never had, I went to deliver my son Tyson, and I'm like, I'm going into labor. I'll call you back. And I literally was out the gate the next week, doing real estate. Again, I chose to do that, of course, but we don't get that time as entrepreneurs. You don't get that time because that is, a detriment to your income if you do. It's a detriment to everything if you take time to be human.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's so important, though.
So I would like to share. So even just within the last month, it was like I'm done again, right? I quit real estate. I have a really good friend of mine who all she wanted was to buy her kids a home, and she found out she had cancer 3 months ago, and December, and they gave her 3 months to live, and so she didn't know. In her mind, in her heart, in her soul, she was beating it, and she did not know what was going to happen. And one of her goals was to buy her kids a home, and so I found the home for them while they were in Florida doing cancer treatments, and we went under contract, and we talk about just the agent on the other side, right? And this was huge with the agent on the other side. So we get through the process. We work really well together. We go through the process, and we get the clear to close on a Friday, and she passed away Saturday. And so for me, it was devastating. It's the
she had been your friend
since high school.
Since high
right?
school.
And I'm really good friends with her husband too.
Mm-hmm.
And
even though you were prepared, you knew it was coming. I didn't
even know, right?
Because
I
you want to
met
believe.
with her.
Yeah.
I didn't want to believe it. I met with her 2 weeks prior, and her body looked like it might have been failing. Her mind and her soul and her heart wasn't.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was I took ownership of not being able to give her one wish with helping the kids buy a home. And as agents, that's what we do, right? We take good agents, great agents, we take ownership of that.
Right.
And so I felt like I failed, and I failed the family, and I failed her. And
you didn't. You did not fail them at all. So
hard,
you got to forgive yourself.
I wanted to get out of the business, right? That is in 24 years. I don't know of many agents that can say they experienced anything like that, right?
No.
It was devastating.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And so what I did was I took 2 weeks, and I said I am checking out for 2 weeks because I have to, because I want to. And I did. And even just checking out for 2 weeks, just let me, just gave me just feeling the feelings, because I'm always in go mode.
Well, because we wear that so well, right? We wear it all so well, as I think as women in general, people in general, for the most part, because you must move forward. We don't want to talk about the emotions. We don't want to talk. We want to be robots. We are not robots. We are real people. Yeah. I always say I'm the mama machine, right? That's me. But I'm not an actual machine. I'm a human. You're a human.
God, and we feel like
and your high school friend who had one wish,
yeah.
and damn it, if she didn't 1 week earlier and it would have come true, that's devastating.
Devastating.
So I got it.
And I also think too, everything happens for a reason, and I would tell myself that everything happens for a reason, and this is one thing that I could not control. I mean, I can't. We feel like we can control a lot of things, and this was one thing I wasn't able to control.
It is really difficult in our business to feel like we have control, and so I always encourage everyone to take control in order to have control. But you don't have. Sadly, I don't know how to control cancer. God, I wish I did. But here's the great thing. Things are crying a little bit. I'm sorry, it's so sad. Things are heartbreaking and stressful, and you cannot imagine getting through it. But you get through it, and then you realize, wow, I am so much stronger because of this. It was nothing that I picked. I would never pick it, right? You would never pick that in a million years. You wish your friend was still here with you. right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you realize it's exactly like a friend passing away. You maybe needed that 2 weeks. Maybe you needed that in general.
I know.
Because you carry everything. Like, again, you are a mom, you are a sister, you are a boss lady. You have even though you don't have a designated team anymore, you have lots of agents that you mentor. And yeah, you need time to just be a human. And that's what you needed, was those 2 weeks. And again, a team dissolving really opened you up for the other things in your life to happen, right? Like,
I believe wholeheartedly it did, right? Like,
yeah.
And it was devastating. I mean, I was stuck for 3 months. I was stuck. Like, what do I do? Like, having a hard time getting out of bed, working out, eating right. Like, and I believe, like, all of us have that, and all of us go through that. And there is light at the end of the tunnel.
There is. Well, being in limbo is a bummer. That's why
In any situation.
in any situation,
right?
that's why real estate is kind of it's almost like, not that it's like pressure washing, but there's some gratification from it because you get people out of limbo and on with their life. Well, if you have something like, wow, here I am, I've poured everything into this, and I am at a wall, and I have no control over it. Like, it's not adding up, nothing's making sense. The juice ain't worth the squeeze, if you will, and then you have to start realizing, I could have made a different decision, but you can't go back. Like, you can't judge yourself for what you didn't know at the time, because now you know, and you'll do better next time if you ever decide to have a team again. It is hard to have a team. It is. Yeah. It's hard to have a team and actually go through a separation. It's like almost next to impossible, actually.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about you. And like, what happened in August?
Well, again, I just was. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I would never in 1,000 years thought that would have happened. And again, here I am. I think I had like 26 people on my team at the time, and I'm just like in disbelief. Like, this is actually happening. And I really didn't. I didn't have control. I had zero control. I wanted to have control. I pride myself on being diligent and having control and being hyper vigilant as a human being, because no matter what's, on our plate, like, I can handle it. I'm a big girl. I can handle myself. I can fix it. I can make things better. I couldn't make it better. Like, there was no way around it. It was what it was, and I had to accept it. And it's devastating, right? It was super devastating. But nobody, even, again, my agents loved me, but they didn't care because it definitely impacted my performance. It just does, right?
Yeah. When we think that it doesn't, it absolutely does.
Oh my God!
Because we feel
talk
like
about being stuck.
Yeah, we feel like we can hide a lot of it,
Yeah,
and
but you
then
can't.
people, we feel like we're doing a really good job hiding it, and then people are like, no.
Mine was so crazy that I couldn't hide it anymore. I was so good at hiding, it up until that point, but I was at the point where there was no more hiding. Like, it was for real. This was really happening. Even if I didn't want it, it was really happening, And so it was one of those things where I just was so accustomed to being this version of myself that I didn't even allow myself to be any other version. And it was just, again, super stuck, super heartbroken, and just lost.
And really, we wanted to do the crazy agent dinner party because these are real life situations,
and they happen so much. And I think it really does impact how you behave with your clients and how you show up every day. Again, nobody's there to clock in or whatnot, but if you don't show up, then guess what? You usually give up, and then you get out of the business. And so when you are committed to doing this as your livelihood, you have to make concessions for being human, or you have to say, all right, I'm gonna be a little bit of a machine, but you need people. You need people to help you through it. You just can't let the whole world into it. Not that we're letting the whole world into everything right now. There's some things that will be left out, of course, but you have to have your people that you can trust, and then not bring it into the professional side of it.
And which is hard with real estate, right? Like,
oh my gosh, especially with a separation or a death. Like, it's hard to get empathy when somebody's like, I don't give a crap about your separation. Like, be here and show up for me or whatever. I'm sorry your dad died, but like, we're under contract.
Well, I don't think that they don't care. I think that it's
scary.
That's terrible. But how does this affect me
right.
and my transaction?
Right. Yeah. Well, and it really does, because
that's the bottom line, is really like, it is like their biggest purchase or one of their biggest sales, right? Like, and even when my dad passed away, I was in the hospital as a real estate agent. You talked about when you were having your baby and you're like calling. So my dad, I know that he's passing. Like we know that's where.
Like you're in
headed.
hospice and you're there intentionally to
I'm leaving to go put a lockbox on, and I'm like, it's part of who I am, and I don't regret like ducking out for a little bit to do that because I was ultimately there for him, and I also feel like for me, real estate has allowed me to be present and to be there. One of the greatest experiences that I even had with my dad was a year ago when he had dementia and Alzheimer's, and a year ago I spent a lot of time with him because I was in real estate, and I was able to be there with him, and I've got some really great stories and some really great experiences and some really great videos of him, right? And so even just ducking out for a little bit to put a lockbox on, and that's part of our job. When he did pass, it's like life still moves on, people still move on, right? And so transactions still move on, and I couldn't just like turn it off.
Well, I did. I had helped them buy a house and refinance a house. I lost a listing through I just couldn't keep it together. I just lost myself. And then you have to forgive yourself for losing yourself for a minute, right? Like you have to be okay with that. And I think that's the hardest part as entrepreneurs is like you lay it on thick all the time, right? Because you got to psych yourself up every single day, no matter what. And it's not always death and separation and more death. You've had a lot of death. God, are you okay?
I'm like, I think I got my 3 down. Like,
right. What else could possibly happen? No, but seriously, you have to forgive yourself for the times that you needed to just duck out, and you have to accept that that's what you had to do, and that's exactly where you needed to be in that moment, and learn whatever you needed to learn, and then grow from it, and not stay stuck there, but get unstuck. With Flow Fridays with Kourtney, no, but get unstuck actually with just yourself and with being a real human and having a support group.
Part, right? And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to really show what real estate is all about. And
selling sunset is amazing, and I beautiful, gorgeous, and there are so many of those types of moments. But real estate is
real life.
Is real life.
Real life.
And so you just need to grab your
part of it, and you're
fork.
a part of it, and
dig in together. Let's dig in and actually fork it, right? Like, what are you gonna do? We're gonna dig in. We're gonna rise above. We're gonna forgive ourselves when we're not going at 100%, and we're going to
support each other.
And we're gonna support each other without judgment, because we're human, and every single person that you know has experienced something that maybe they feel like a failure. They feel like they did something wrong. They feel like, again, not themselves. You can be somebody that has lost a team, lost a spouse, and still be winning. And that's what we want to convey every time that we're talking with you, is that we're real humans, and so are you. And you can really win at real estate, just like we have for over 2 decades. It's literally all I've ever known.
And I feel like we talked a little bit about failure, right? And so like I've always heard like failure, like winning on failure. Like failure isn't a bad thing. It's like what you learn, you win from it. And
Thomas Edison, right?
Failure isn't failing. It's
right
winning from it.
And you know the Thomas Edison story? So Thomas Edison this is like a famous interview. He had like 10,000 failures. He was interviewed by like a snarky like newspaper person, and they're like, "Mr. Edison, I heard your experiment has failed 10,000 times." He's like, "I didn't fail 10,000 times. I know 10,000 things that didn't work for me, but I know what will. I know something will, because I believe in myself." And that's really what you need to do. It's amazing. Like, dude, Thomas Edison, way cool. 10,000? That's a lot.
And I didn't get it until I experienced it. And we'll continue to fail, right? And
we'll continue to
grow.
know what doesn't work, and we'll grow from it, and we'll learn from it. I never fail. I only learn, and I grow from it. And it doesn't, again, you could pour your heart and soul into something, and it doesn't work out. You can literally have lined everything up for a listing for people that you've closed several transactions with and lose the listing. It doesn't mean that you're not an amazing agent or good at your job. You're a human being, and you can't be all the things all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, special to-go box this time. Take it away.
We're going to give you permission to be human for the week. I want you to be human for the week. Reach out and let us know a moment that you might have had that makes you feel like you just want to crawl in your bed forever and watch Netflix. It was me for a solid month.
Yeah, 3 months.
Whatever, who's counting? Because life is crazy, but real estate is even crazier.
And you